Spotted in D.C. a convoy of Park Police, ATF, and other Fed law enforcement making random traffic stops near Howard University. I wonder why they're doing it near Howard University. Well, they're not doing stop and frisk near Georgetown. Wonder why they're doing it at Howard University. They're doing a regular checkpoint. Yeah, the famous criminals over at Howard University, which is like Black Harvard, okay? Yeah. All right. We're moving on now. We're getting back to the catastrophic world of real drama, which is not drama, but consequential politics, okay? Donald Trump has deployed hundreds of National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. So far, it doesn't seem like there's been major disruptions yet, but I suspect that major disruptions are incoming.
Up the Capitol and get homeless people off the streets.
Homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time.
President Trump's decision to take over the Washington, D.C. Police Department is unprecedented. It is also limited. Under federal law, he can only do it for 30 days unless Congress authorizes a longer term. As for that National Guard deployment, there is no such limitation on the length of time for that.
Yeah, everybody knows famously the most successful method of combating homelessness is not to try to stop more people from falling victim to homelessness by fixing the housing market, and to actually take the existing homeless population and like put them in housing, permanent shelter of some sort, so they can aid in the recovery process, start the recovery process. But instead, it's to what? Kill them with the military? That's what we're gonna do? That's how we're supposed to combat homelessness? Great. Sounds great. A big chunk of those dudes are vets too, by the way. So make no mistake, when these dickheads are like, oh my God, what about our veterans? What about our veterans? Remember, they love talking about veterans. They love remembering that like homeless veterans exist. Whenever the conversation is about like immigrants and how much money is being spent on immigrants. Okay. What happened now? Now you're literally military on former military homeless people. What the fuck happened? I thought y'all cared about the veterans. I thought y'all cared about the homeless veterans. What happened? Turns out you were just using that as a talking point. Just like you use mental health as a talking point whenever you don't want to talk about the real problem with gun violence in this country. No, we can't do gun control. No, we can't have any sort of like reasonable gun control measures. What about mental health? What about mental health? And when mental health is actually the subject matter, they go, what are you, gay? What are you, woke? You want mental health? You want therapy? Get the fuck out of here. Great. Fantastic. Wonderful.
To Washington, D.C. now, where this morning National Guard troops are on the streets to help carry out the president's unprecedented and boundary.
The funniest thing about the National Guard is like, the National Guard reflects like the broader American society. So it's very funny seeing like a bunch of dudes that just look like you would see them at Walmart or whatever, who's doing the military stuff now.
Pushing plan to take over policing in the nation's capital. Scott McFarlane asked some D.C. residents how they're feeling about all that.
One day after President Trump announced his plan, National Guard troops were deployed to D.C. streets Tuesday night, joining nearly 900 federal agents and officers that have taken posts around Washington, alongside local police who are now under the authority of the Trump administration. In D.C.'s Anacostia neighborhood, Ron Moten says crime has long plagued his community, but he and others are skeptical this is a good idea.
They're tired of violence. I get it. But my only caution is one thing can lead to the next thing. You can take over our police department today, and we wake up and you take over our city.
They may not give it back.
They may not give it back.
Top Department of Justice officials, including the Attorney General Pam Bondi, met with D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser yesterday, while the White House defended the 30-day takeover.
We are removing as many criminals from the streets, and we are cleaning up D.C. as best as we can, and working with the Metropolitan Police Department to do that.
Darrell Gaston has seen the violence up close.
Those are bullet holes up there?
Yeah, bullet holes.
But enough about my millions in abs. Now back to genocide, Twitch gas bag. Yeah, you got it across, man. I know. We cover a variety of different things, you know? Strange. They posted up in Georgetown. What are we doing? I know. This part is just like doesn't make any sense. Thank you for no ads. Of course, no ads. This broadcast, the Piker Broadcasting Service, is brought to you by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Okay? Insane that that tried to do an insurrection wouldn't deploy federal law enforcement on January 6th is sent out. Anyway, I'll write that later. Let's keep going with this. Hold on. I said this admin is sending a more militant response to big balls being jumped by a 15-year-old teen boy and girl than January 6th. Because remember, a lot of people forget that like Donald Trump did January 6th, right? The insurrection that failed. And he was still president. As in, he could have had a more militant defense against January 6th if he wanted to do so. But of course, that would be idiotic because he was responsible for doing January 6th. And it's crazy. It is insane that the ass whipping of big balls seemingly is a more significant event that deserves a militant response from federal law enforcement and the military, as opposed to the insurrection. Can you explain, please, why so many branches of police are active here, like Park Service, DEA? Because those are all federal law enforcement agencies. That's why. ATF, DEA, FBI, CIA. Well, technically not CIA, but like FBI, DEA, DSI, or no, HSI, like Homeland Security, different branches. Like these are all federal law enforcement agencies. And they all have their own, like, police force, basically. And they're deploying every single one of them in D.C. It's basically just to, you know, create an environment that is threatening.
First one I saw. So my thought is there's not much going on here, so maybe they're practicing. Come on.
Maybe they're practicing. Yeah, so wild because they didn't do this about the CDC only big balls. Big balls gets beat up and Trump sends the guard into DC. This dude allegedly up the CDC police officer and absolutely crickets from this administration. Yeah, because it's one of their guys, which is, of course, it's always their guys. Felix Biederman likes to say, you know, a Trump supporter gets bored, famously, you know, when referencing certain types of incidents that may or may not have happened in the past, you know, kinetic incidents. Trump supporters getting bored is a very dangerous prospect for Donald Trump himself. Okay? It's just when they do it, when their guys do it, it's like, what are you going to do? You know, don't talk about it. And it's not even a question. How many minutes were afforded to the dangerous radicalizing sentiment coming from RFK Jr., which led to this attack? They shot this dude, shot and cop. Is this guy's name actually Big Balls? No, not this guy. This is a different guy. Big Balls is the Doge guy who was tasked by Elon Musk. Big Balls was tasked by Elon Musk to basically dismantle the federal regulatory apparatus, okay? That is his actual name. I can't believe I'm saying these words. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. But yeah, his real name is Edward Korestein. But he's most famously known as Big Balls. Okay. They've already started implementing stop and frisk. I already said this. Like, I think the goal is to use the military to do stop and frisk shit. Spotted in D.C., a convoy of Park Police, ATF, and other Fed law enforcement making random traffic stops near Howard University. I wonder why they're doing it near Howard University. Well, they're not doing stop and frisk near Georgetown. Wonder why they're doing it at Howard University. They're doing a regular checkpoint. Yeah, the famous criminals over at Howard University, which is like Black Harvard, okay? Yeah, those are... I wonder why you would just assume that the people in and around this historical Black university would be criminals automatically. Totally random police stop here. If someone played me a clip for your last few sentences 5 years ago and said this will be your favorite political commentator, I would say that person was crazy. What do you mean? Violating the Fourth Amendment, by the way. The police need reasonable suspicion of a crime. This is why it was thrown out in New York. Oh, yeah, of course. By the way, I can't stress this enough. They are doing this for militant response. They're doing this to show you who's in charge. And they're going to continue doing this. And make no mistake, their goal is to do this everywhere. Okay? They don't have enough manpower to do this. They still have to hire a ton more ICE agents, obviously, to be able to do this successfully. And the military will make up for that shortage. But that is the goal. Now, the problem, of course, is that the American military is comprised of people from all different walks of life, from all around the country. And it doesn't feel like many of them are invested in doing this kind of thing. ICE, on the other hand, is a self-selecting group of monstrous Gestapo pieces of shit. So obviously, they will be more excited, more enthusiastic about putting on a mask and behaving in these like incredibly violent Gestapo-style ways. Whereas the National Guard is just like regular ass dudes that are, you know, weekend warriors. So they're not going to be all be as invested. Even the Marines are probably not as invested in like doing domestic law enforcement stuff as ICE would. So this once again runs into the same problems where I think this administration's incompetence will get in the way of its desires to implement full-blown fascism. Okay? That's what I think. That's what I suspect. But in the process, they'll still be extremely annoying. Here's another example. This man in D.C. was smoking a cigarette on the front porch of his steps, and he got harassed by a full squad of federal agents. Based on this current FBI salary plus fringe benefits, you are looking at easily over $600,000 in taxpayer funds used on this bullshit. They're using the I thought I'd smell the odor of marijuana tactic to stop and frisk and harass black people in D.C. Of course, the same week, Trump announced he might reclassify marijuana scheduling as narcotic. Police are nothing without these gray area illegal procedures.
How y'all doing today? Y'all staying in that trouble? You got your ID on you?
No, I live right here.
Okay, cool.
There's a cigarette. Did y'all get a call or something about right here?
No, so we're doing checks, keeping everybody safe down here, right? Have you heard of the federal surge that Donald Trump's putting out?
No.
Right. You don't.
Oh, dude, I'm just keeping you safe. Don't you feel safe? You mentioned this was the first thing Hitler did. Can you talk about this more? I'm not aware. I mean, yeah, militarizing the domestic law enforcement with loyal Hitlerite servants of the admin is a common meta.
Follow like Code 3, anything like that people are putting up. All right, so yeah, Trump's got all federal agencies kind of coming together for 7 days and going out, trying to stop the violent crime, all kind of stuff. So we're out here contacting people, talking to them, right? Quality of life offenses, smoking, drinking in public, right? Can't happen outside, right? Most people know that. Right?
Quality of life adjustments. You can't be smoking and drinking in public. Okay. Well, he's not. He's smoking on his porch in his own house. So what the f are you bothering him about?
So we're contacting people, trying to advise them of the law so they learn, right? And then if there's other stuff going on where it turns into there's multiple agencies or somebody, there's extra hands available, all right? So we're just out here trying to inform people and educate people. It's not like we're trying to just go grab people and ruin something.
I love that he's like, oh, it's not like we're trying to do the thing that we are literally doing to you right now that you are documenting. Dude, you're doing it. What do you mean we're not trying to do the thing that you're doing? Like, what the f is this? Oh, dude, you don't understand. Like, I'm not trying to like be in anybody's business. You know, I'm not trying to like walk up to people's houses and demand answers to idiotic questions about what they do in the privacy of their own front porch. That would be silly if I were to do that, obviously. You know? Yeah, this is the classic. While I'm in the process of arresting you, I say, in Russia, you would be arrested for this. Like, literally, as a cop is just like beating on a protester and violently apprehending them, he says, in Russia, you'd be arrested for this. You know that? It's like, well, you're arresting me. What's going on? Am I in Russia?
Life over a joint or something like that, all right?
I only asked because when you walked up, at the moment you walked up, you only had eggs.
Yeah, well, it smelled like the odor of marijuana, burnt marijuana.
Oh, dude. Well, the olfactory cues were signaling to me that there was a tactical marijuana insertion in the air follicles, and I of course had to make a kinetic advancement in the direction of the odor of marijuana. Sir, are you in the presence of a currently legal but maybe in the future illegal narcotic substance? I have tactically ascertained that in the future time frame, there might be more kinetic situations involving myself and many other brave members of the law enforcement community to apprehend and tactically ascertain the olfactory cues that are coming in your direction by a narcotic substance.
In the air, right? And you're the only guy that had something lit in your hand, and I didn't flashlight you, so I didn't realize it was just a cigarette. So that's on me. I appreciate you understanding and not getting chippy. All right, so just know, right? Learn, teach, tell your boys, like, yo.
Tell your boys, spread the word. We're in here. We're up in this bitch.
Everybody's out, from FBI to park police. Right? So do your thing. Let them know. Don't be smoking outside. Don't be drinking outside. Because Donald Trump is tired of it. People come to visit. I didn't know that.
What is it to you? What do you mean? What do you mean? Tell your boys no more drinking outside. Like, what are we talking about, man? It's so annoying. I thought this was America, okay? Yeah, I know he said Donald Trump is tired of it. He said Donald Trump. Bro, is that your daddy? What do you mean? Donald Trump is tired of it, dude. No more drinking outside. Donald Trump doesn't want that. Okay. Well, you and Donald Trump too. Suck my dick, both of you. Take it up. Take it up with the big man. What the do you mean? Oh, tell your boys no more freedoms, okay? Donald Trump is tired of it. Oh, okay, got it, man. Thank you. I didn't realize we lived in that world now, you know? This is the whole point, okay? This is literally the whole point. When Donald Trump talks about like beautification or broken windows policing, like this is precisely what they're trying to implement. An environment of ever-present threats coming from federalized law enforcement agencies, federal law enforcement agencies and militarized police forces that roam the streets and just like harass random black dudes on their own goddamn porches with totally irrelevant, with like a totally made up reason. This conversation, this back and forth could have gone south and luckily it didn't. Okay. Luckily it didn't. But and before people say, oh, it's a law in like Virginia and DC, dude, you're supposed to have leniency, and this person's on his own porch anyway. What the f are you talking about? There is no law in the books that says you can't drink or smoke on your own porch. That's number one. Number two, have you ever been hit with a container charge? I have. Okay. The process is so annoying. Under normal circumstances, you could just like make the person dump the alcohol, and it's a citation at best. It should never even get to that point, regardless. Okay, even if he was like on the street right now, drinking an alcoholic beverage, do you think it's justifiable to have the entire like ATF, DEA, FBI agents swarm you, take out the sick freak? Even if he was in public doing that, cops will always use whatever they can to their advantage to just like f your day up. Okay, that's it. This should be seen for exactly what it is, which is a ridiculous overkill militarization to basically do a military occupation to threaten law-abiding citizens in the nation's capital.
Be smoking outside, don't be drinking outside, because Donald Trump is tired of it. People come to visit. I didn't know that. You didn't know smoking in public? I didn't know that. Yeah, the arrestable. Because in Maryland, it's recreational use, so I didn't know. Yeah, so DC, it's recreational use as well, right? But you can legally possess up to 2 ounces. You can gift an ounce to your boy, right? So if you had 2 ounces and he said he needed a zip, you can give him a zip, but you can't smoke outside.
I'm absolutely crashing out because blue no matter who voters are using these raids to bash the common criticisms during the election cycle and calling us Nazi sympathizers too. Come on. Yeah, dude, those are not reflective of the broader liberal sentiment. Okay, I think there's more anger towards the Democrats and their incompetence right now from the Democratic base in general than there is anger and animosity directed towards the left flank. You need to remember something. The reason why you feel that way is because you're online, okay? And online liberals love that kind of drama. They thrive on that kind of drama. Some of them do it for their own personal malicious agenda because they're vindictive, they're angry that they were wrong, and leftist content creators were right. Some of them do it because they want to defend the Democratic Party unconditionally in ways that like even the base is not claiming is the reason. You can't say that people are more angry and resentful at the left for Kamala Harris losing, and they are falsely blaming the left for Kamala Harris losing at a time when Chuck Schumer is one of the least popular congresspersons in the United States of America, and he's one of the prominent leaders of the Democratic Party. Clearly, the overarching, the overwhelming majority of Americans understand exactly who to blame. That doesn't make sense if you look at the actual polling numbers. If you actually look at the favorability of the Democrats in general, they are underwater right now. So clearly, many Americans, including Democrats, obviously Republicans will always hate the Democratic politicians, but many Democratic voters also despise the Democratic Party at this moment. One must ask the question, why? Why is it that Bernie Sanders and AOC are seen as some of the most popular Democrats at this moment, whereas WGQ, what is this? Oh shit, this is the GQ TikTok. 37,000 likes already from 6 hours ago. God damn. Let's go. Anyway, as I was saying, let's get back to the issues that matter. If Americans broadly, if American liberal voters broadly felt the same way that these like snarky ass, spite driven online liberal commentators felt, then the polling results would reflect that reality. People like Bernie and people like Bernie Sanders and people like AOC would be despised, reviled by the base. They wouldn't be the most popular Democrats by the base. Zoran would not win the Democratic Party's primary because he would have the scarlet letter of being associated with the left. If the left was actively reviled by the base, then Zoran would have never won the Democratic primary in New York. Okay? That's it. If liberal online commentary sphere dipshits were actually reading the room properly and that there was genuine anger and resentment towards the left by normies that you encounter in the real world, like actual regular ass liberals that you encounter in the real world, then polling would reflect that. Okay? Kamala Harris would be incredibly popular. Chuck Schumer would be popular. Hakeem Jeffries would be popular. It's bullshit. People are tired of Donald Trump's shenanigans. And this electoral defeat in the first 4 months, I think, caused people to basically check out for the interim. It caused people to check out of the conversation altogether because they couldn't understand the way that they thought things were going to unfold, because they were sold a lie by liberal outlets. They were sold a lie by liberal commentators that Kamala Harris was going to kill it. Okay? Kamala Harris was going to kill it. Kamala Harris was going to win. And then when that didn't happen, they were like, what the went wrong? Some of them checked out. Some of them tried to look for answers. And they basically came to the conclusion that, the Democrat inability to address all of the issues that Trump continues to bring about, all of the awful things that the administration is doing, has been met with tremendous resentment. Okay? It's been met with understandable anger. It's been met with revulsion. It's been met with tremendous anger. The Democrats are finally upset. Democratic voters are finally upset with the Democratic Party. They demand better fighters from the Democrats. What do you want, Pink Harmonica? What do you mean? When is your lease end? Is your lease... Maz turned the volume down. Is your lease ending soon? What are you saying? Some of you guys are so strange, dude. What is this? My view on crime when I lived in the suburbs of Long Island versus my views on crime when I moved to the city. Why would you personally admit that you're Adolf Hitler? Why are you volunteering that you're Adolf Hitler? I don't care about this person. Yeah, look at Chuck Schumer's approval rating. Hold on, where is it? Chuck Schumer's approval in New York. Look at this. Look. New Siena poll. New Yorkers have Senator Schumer at lowest ever favorability rating dating from February 2005. 38% to 50%, down from 41 to 47 in June. Among Dems, his favorability rating is 49 to 39%, down from 55 to 35 in June. For the first time ever, he is underwater with 39% favorability, 46% unfavorability. That's crazy. Perhaps this has something to do with what Chuck Schumer has kept himself occupied with, okay? Clearly, at a time when the Trump administration is like going nutty mode, ripping the Constitution apart and wiping their ass with it, ripping families apart and celebrating it, if you're just either A, silent, which implies complicity, okay, because neutrality and silence in the face of untold, unimaginable amounts of oppression is siding with the oppressors. And if you're silent in all of this, in the face of all of this, as the Senate Minority Leader, one of the most impactful, supposedly, Democrats out there, people are going to correctly read that as you dropping the ball. And then worse than silence, the only time when he chimes in is when it's about Israel, and not even in the direction of the party's attitude on Israel, not in the direction of the voters' attitude on Israel. He's not chiming in to say Israel. He's chiming in to say, you guys should stop saying Israel at a time when everyone is saying it. The calls are loud. They are impossible to ignore. And Chuck Schumer is seemingly talking to an increasingly shrinking, tiny percentage of the base of support within the Democratic Party. Of course, you're going to have underwater approval ratings. It's idiotic, a failure of epic proportions in every sense of the word. He tries to make it an initiative to actively make the left more pro-Israel, fails on that front. But the very fact that that is his primary focus is literally an indictment on Chuck Schumer. Yes, I know about the Baileys. I know the John Oliver bit on the Baileys was done. I've talked about the Baileys a lot, okay? I'm glad that the John Oliver writers who are in here brought it up to John Oliver so they covered it. We've talked about it months ago. We've talked about it for a long-ass time, as a matter of fact. I know. Dick Durbin voting with Chuck to pave the way for the Trump admin cuts to go through directly led to a backlash in Illinois and his decision not to run again. Honestly, why people don't see the writing on the wall, and I'm curious who will replace Durbin. Yeah. New York City net favorables. Mamdani at +14. Gillibrand at -2. Schumer at -7. Curtis Sliwa at -12. Elise Stefanik at -16. Cuomo at -17. Andrew Cuomo is less popular than Curtis Sliwa and Elise Stefanik. Eric Adams is -28 and Donald Trump is -39. Oh my God. It's a mystery why Cuomo's unpopular. Look at this Riz. Who's living rent-free now, Paisan? Zoran Memdani can't stop talking about Andrew Cuomo's rent-stabilized dig during anti-Trump New York City tour. Hey, look at that. One of the most reputable outlets have written about you once again. The same outlet that brought to you important pieces of journalism like Zoran Mamdani stole a table in college. I'll have you know, you can't have a criminal scumbag like Zoran running amok in New York City. Are you kidding me? Hey, I'm walking here. Yeah, this is what comes to mind instantly. Broke down the scandals dogging Cuomo and Mamdani. Ties to Jeffrey Epstein. 13 sexual harassment cases. Rep by Harvey Weinstein's lawyer. Served as Netanyahu's lawyer. Killed thousands of seniors. Siphoned funds from the MTA. Got $5 million for a book he didn't write. Scandals for Zoran Mamdani. Has apartment. Yeah. Once borrowed a table from student union when he was in college. I'm just glad that because Zoran is presented as a voice for the youth and presented as like a real fighter, that is backed by the voters overall, he won his race, that people are finally not putting up with this nonsensical bullshit, okay? Because this is the type of shit that I've dealt with my entire career as a political content creator on Twitch, okay? I'm not like running for office or anything. So the standard should be even lower for someone like myself. And yet people unironically still try to do this shit. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy that people are not even entertaining this at all and just simply making fun of how insane these idiotic standards are. Because this is not a real standard to apply to anyone, okay? It's just not. It's not. It's incredibly stupid. My Nana called him a 9/11 insider agent because his dad is Muslim. Yeah, of course. Well, your Nana is insanely racist. Meanwhile, Clinton Dems on Fox.
Perhaps.
These people, Democrats, question mark, are on Fox News spewing racist nonsense about a brown Democrat who won a Democratic primary. They're scared they'll lose power and influence in a party that's dying. Instead of welcoming Zoran's party, they choose to alienate them and move the party as far right as they can to appeal to the last 5 anti-Trump Republicans. I don't even think this is necessarily an appeal to the last 5 anti-Trump Republicans. Okay? I think this is more so a desperate attempt to cling on to power in the dying party as the original assessment made. That's it. They're speaking to no one. It's just a straightforward appeal to the Republicans to be like, hey, if you don't act up real quick, if you don't get wise to the danger presented by Zoran, you're actually going to have a competitive party in front of you. You're actually going to have to do work. You're not going to be dealing with the corporate Dem losers that don't actually care about any of these issues that we speak out on. Okay? This is how it always goes. When you're on the left, your enemies are all over. Okay? If you are actually progressive, if you're actually a socialist, God forbid, you are going to have to deal with, the Democrat Party, with the Democratic machine that is desperately trying to cling on to power so they can continue being the controlled opposition party. Okay, led by carcasses that have calcified in their positions, that never talk to a real human being, let alone their constituents, that get their notes from lobbyists and corporate benefactors only in these closed-door private dinners that they throw together to fundraise. Okay? And then you're also going to get shafted by, obviously, everyone from the center to the far right. Everyone from center right to the far right. They all despise you. The expectation in this circumstance is for the party to look at the momentum building on the left and say, hey, guys, I think our time is done. And if we want to save this country, if we want to preserve democracy, if we want to have a real, active counterbalance to growing fascism in this country, we're going to have to step aside and we're going to have to let the Zorans bloom. Okay? But they're not doing that. Because they don't care. They would rather appease the fascists as long as they remain in power, at least for the remainder of their lifespan, which is going to be short anyway. They're old. Okay? That's it. They're old. They're going to die soon regardless. And they would rather spend the last fucking decade of their life desperately clinging on the power before the administration decides that, like, they're jailing the opposition anyway. This is how the story always ends.
I'm reading that perhaps you've been talking to the Trump administration about how to stop Mamdani, maybe help Andrew Cuomo, maybe it's Eric Adams. I know you're not going to help Curtis Sliwa. That would be my choice if I was in New York. Is any of that true? Do you see any possibility the Trump administration might in any way try to get involved to stop Mamdani? Because I don't think they should lift a finger for any of these candidates. Except
Look, I don't know what President Trump is going to do. I think the facts are pretty clear. Mamdani is not a real Democrat. He's a Democratic socialist. And Andrew Cuomo is a real
Marxist.
Democrat. Yes, he's a Marxist. He's a socialist. He's an anti-Semite, I believe, as well, from his comments. And he has no experience whatsoever to be mayor of New York City. On top of all that, I think Cuomo has a Democratic base and a record. Curtis Sliwa doesn't really have a chance of winning, but he's got 28% of the vote. So the Republicans could well be the ones who determine who is the next mayor. Are they going to stay home, or are they going to say, look, we really can't let New York go down the drain. We can't let New York's worst nightmare be Zohan Mandami, which a socialist who would bankrupt it, and anti-Semitic views would divide the city in ways that would be really difficult for it to come back. I think Donald Trump is a New Yorker at heart. He doesn't want to see that happen. I think Andrew Cuomo has the experience and the guts to kind of take the city and bring it back together. And we're going to have an election. And this election is not going to be a Democratic primary, but a city that's not like D.C., it's got about 30% Republicans. So you guys are going to have to make a choice.
I think mispronouncing his name is a dog whistle, by the way. Nah, it's not. These guys are just, bro. They're just racist. That's it. They don't know how to say it. It's too hard for them. It's not. They're not like signaling. Brother, you talking about dudes who like literally call him a terrorist, okay? I don't think they need dog whistles at that point. Like, what do you mean? They're on Fox News. This guy is going to Fox News. Fox News spends a decent chunk of their Zoran coverage literally saying that if elected, he's going to do 9/11 again and again and again. What do you think that is? That's not a dog whistle. That's a bullhorn. You know? Please stop trying to find like secret messages between the lines. Just read the lines. They are actively telling you. They are openly racist, okay? Yeah, the mispronunciation is not even a principled stance on racism, a principled stance of racism. They're just too stupid to know how to say it genuinely. Yeah. And they just don't care. That's it. Like, that's the other thing. They just don't care to correct themselves. Do you understand? Being a progressive means making real progress. There's only one candidate in this race who's passed a bill supported by Bernie Sanders. Surprise! That's me. I am a progressive because I believe in getting things done for people who need it. As governor, I championed and passed the Excelsior Scholarship to make college tuition free for New York's middle class. It was a national first to help make New York more affordable. And as mayor, I will continue to further expand education opportunities for all New Yorkers. It's so funny to present Bernie Sanders as like a defender of your progressivism when he very clearly endorsed your opposition. Okay? He endorsed Zoran Mamdani. This is just an opening for you. For Bernie to go, yeah, you suck, dog. I am gay. I am black. I am Muslim. I am New York. I'm Andrew Cuomo. And I've sexually harassed and assaulted 13 women, including a cop. I am Andrew Cuomo, also known as cop rapist. I am a woman. Anyway, that's Cuomo. I thought you were doing a Curtis Lewa impression. No, I'm just purposely exaggerating. Bernie Sanders accused or influenced, blah, blah, blah. Okay, new Siena poll. We talked about that. All right, let's get back to DC residents.
This whole window had to be replaced right here.
A recent car chase and shooting damaged the outside of Gaston's restaurant. He welcomes an increased law enforcement presence, but says the community wants a longer-term plan to curb crime.
We can always use more police, right? But I think having police officers that are from the community, that are trained locally, is much different than having a federal police that's not trained in community policing.
DC's mayor cites...
Oh, my Lord. Business owners. Oh, buddy. Yeah, I mean, look. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. It's just like, we live in America, man. Why do you think there's so much gun violence? I wonder. Every aspect of crime, both visible perceptions of crime, such as homelessness, or literal crime, such as gun violence, have unique solutions, okay? They have actual, real solutions, none of which involves the military, okay? None of it. If you're talking about gun violence and gunshots in D.C., it's like, okay, there's a solution to that. It's called gun control. If you're talking about homelessness on the streets, There's a solution to that. It's called a housing first policy initiative to combat homelessness. Is to offer permanent shelter to homeless people. And it's to also fix the housing market so that people don't get priced out of the housing market and become homeless. But we won't do that. Incredibly stupid decisions, incredibly violent decisions.
Data which shows violent crime is at its lowest level in 30 years and had this warning about Trump's actions.
I think that is what he is trying to make it normal, where citizens say the federal government should overtake local policing. We can't be desensitized to it because it's not normal.
As for how long this federal takeover will last, the White House says it will reevaluate and make further decisions after this current 30-day window is up. Gail?
All right, Scott, thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank
Your federalization of the police has a 30-day limit unless Congress acts to extend it. Are you talking to Congress about extending it, or do you believe 30 days is sufficient?
Well, if it's a national emergency, we can do it without Congress, but we expect to be to Congress before Congress very quickly. And again, we think the Democrats will not do anything to stop crime.
No, gun control doesn't work like that. We need to improve basic material conditions first. I agree. I don't disagree with you. Okay. But also, we do have a fuck ton of guns in circulation. We have more guns in circulation than we have people in this country. Some finishing touches on a new road. Oh my God. That's crazy. Hell yeah. Hasan the terrorist. It gotta be. These guys, this has gotta be a bot, right? Like, there ain't no fucking way. This motherfucker 35 seconds ago sees a nonprofit be like, hey, we're showing love to the people that fundraised to fix our road. And this guy's like, the terrorist. No, it's a real senator, bro. Senator Bungus.
But we think the Republicans will do it almost unanimously. So we're going to need a crime bill that we're going to be putting in.
Loki, a firepost from
and
GQ,
it's going to pertain initially to D.C. It's almost...
Yeah, Medicare for all, TRT for all, Ozempic for all, HRT for all. That's my argument. Yeah. Trump's new head of labor statistics, by the way, he's got Nazi ship paintings in his office. What? Experts have noticed that Trump's new head of labor statistics appears to have a Nazi ship hanging behind him in his office. What is... Oh, my God, brother. What the fuck? I was already pissed off because he's like a Heritage Foundation creep, you know? And of course, as is expected, he's not just a Heritage Foundation creep, but like much like many others from that same background, he's also a World War II enjoyer. But he has his costumes in his closet. Oh, yeah. They love losers, man. Whether it be the Confederacy or the fucking Nazis. They love that shit. They wear it on their sleeve. Like the sword. That's awesome. Yes, you destroyed me in the marketplace of ideas. You're right. 12 years of actively combating neo-Nazi sentiment. All down the drain because I have a fucking bleach sword. Because your favorite dumbass hysterical content creator decided so. You're right. Yeah, it's the same as the guy who works for the Nazi administration who has a Nazi painting behind him. Please, dude. The idea that the fucking very famous bleach sword is a Nazi memorabilia that is similar to a direct painting, a commissioned painting of a famous Nazi ship, shows to me what your worldview revolves around, which is online commentary and drama. Wake the fuck up. The Gestapo is going to be knocking down your fucking door and arresting your parents. And you're going to be like, well, I watched enough. I didn't. Oh, man. Well, hold on, sir. Before you arrest my mother and ship her ass to a fucking concentration camp, I'll have you know I have to finish my YouTube video that I was watching. Fucking idiot. Hold on. Let me finish my drama slop tuber video. How do you not realize that you are being purposely kept dumb? Like, you are personally, like, you have made the journey over here, okay? This should be a wake-up call for you about, like, larger issues that are happening. I know it sounds boring, right? I know it's difficult. It's difficult to keep up with whatever the fuck's going on.
We're going to use it as a very positive example, and we're going to be asking for extensions on that, long-term
My favorite slop tuber will hear about this as I'm being dragged to a concentration camp. Meanwhile, their favorite slop tuber is going to unironically, their favorite slop tuber is going to be fucking, you know, moving their their commentary to other irrelevant content creators that deserve to be canceled or something because they're too afraid of actually going to prison. They'll never actually take a fucking political position, even if they believe in it. And the political positions that they do believe in it are the political positions that they do believe in are fucking serving the interests of the same exact fucking administration that you are supposed to despise. Okay? At least I'm out here, in spite of everything else, trying to do my very best to fucking actively fight back against this shit. Okay? You, on the other hand, are getting your notes from slop tubers that hang out with fucking neo-Nazis with regular goddamn frequency, thinking that you're actually a liberal and your true compass is firmly planted in attacking seemingly a fuck ton of other progressive content creators.
Because you can't have 30 days. 30 days that's by the time you do it. We're going to have this in good shape. And don't forget, in the border, everyone said it would take years and you'd have to go back to Congress. I never went to Congress for anything. I just said, close the border. And they closed the border. And that was the end of it. I didn't go back to Congress. We're going to do this very quickly, but we're going to want extensions. I don't want to call national emergency. If I have to, I will. But I think the Republicans in Congress will approve this pretty much unanimously.